City Lodge owns and operates high-quality, affordable hotels targeted at the business community and leisure traveller.
Yes, I'm happy to say these guys do not engage in gambling on the premises. I think everybody knows what the City Lodge concept is. Did a big expansion in the last 5 or so years, went through a patch of very depressed occupancies, but it now appears to be recovering. We've got Africa, etc., etc.
Group has a market cap of 5.8 billion rand, price to earnings ratio of 19.6 and a dividend yield here of just above 3%. City Lodge has long been a very interesting story for the investment community looking for exposure to the hotel environment.
No, and I don't think you can fault them. I mean, they went through the same patch that everyone else did, increasing their sort of supply dramatically. And I think what happened is, I mean, their occupancy rates used to sit at about 80%. I mean, that came off dramatically after 2010. It's only now started to recover. So in the latest set of results, you've seen that move up from about 64% occupancy up to about 68%. So finally, I mean, the move that we've been waiting for has happened. I think that's what you're seeing reflected in the share price now.
Paul, have you ever been an investor in the City Lodge story?
We've got quite a lot of clients. I think I might have given the wrong message through to our producer who actually owns City Lodge. It's a solid, beautiful little company. Hans Endeley, that Swiss South African, established it. For many years it did nothing, didn't like any debt, grew very slowly. They actually own their own hotel premises. Often, Tsogo has premises, intercontinentals, city lodges, garden courts that are owned by external investors, and they just operate the facility. City Lodge, that's not the case. They always own everything. They did gear up, but it's been a really hard slog to get to this point now. You know, I don't know. It should be trading at like 200 Rand a share. It's languishing like this at 125.
Well, we're not seeing any pressure in the short term there, Gary.
Definitely. I think what you've also got with City Lodge, like I said, like the only problem with those occupancies is also, I mean, obviously they've gone on this whole brand restructuring at the moment, and I mean, you know, to try and differentiate between City Lodge, Road Lodge, Town Lodge, etc. The one thing that we did notice in the occupancy is that it has increased in Road Lodge specifically. So you are seeing that the occupancy rates are perhaps up, despite you know, customers actually buying down into almost the cheaper version of City Lodge, which has meant their average room rate has not kept pace with inflation. So that's maybe the one criticism you can have. But yeah, City Lodge, I mean, no gaming assets. The one company that has no gambling in it, and I think they've also got
this will be a big plus for you. Sorry to interrupt.
And
there,
I think they've also got a very viable strategy going into Africa now. I think exporting their model, which is like the McDonald's model, you know what you get, into Africa is going to work. I mean, they're in Kenya with the Fairview Hotel at the moment, and I mean, they've got one in Botswana as well. I think they've got 2 in Kenya, and I mean, we'd like to see that expansion roll out a little bit quicker, but I think good growth prospects for City Lodge going forward.
That's a good thing. You've got your clients in this one.
Yeah. Now, yes, the Kenya thing I think is going to be big. They bought Fairview, but they're now going to build on sites in Nairobi in order to make that a bigger part of their business. That's encouraging. But the usual cautious, acquire the site, check it out, get the architects, build slowly, get the approval. So you can see they're not in a big rush, which to some extent is a bit of a disadvantage. So it becomes a bit like a property stock, and it trades a bit for the yield.
Very pedestrian, rather than shoot the lights out.
And their whole manner and presentation is very subdued and down to earth. Clifford Ross is quite softly spoken. They don't like come in firing and shouting about how they're going to change the world. They're not buying and selling things every other 3 weeks. And I think that results in a modest, solid reputation in the market, and the market gives it a modest, solid price to earnings ratio, and it sort of moves along slowly.
With that modest, solid background, can we give it a hot, Gary?
I'm going to actually give it a not hot, and I think it's just because something you said there, the modest, solid. I think the one thing that people maybe aren't taking into account on a group like City Lodge is the entry of someone like Airbnb, as well as the likes of TripAdvisor. You know, in the past, the whole model was based on almost the Holiday Inn model of you go to City Lodge, you know exactly what your room's going to be like. These days, with the information flow that you've got, that you can go on TripAdvisor and you can go and take a bed and breakfast when you're traveling to Cape Town instead, because you're confident that TripAdvisor is going to give you a good rating on that premises. I think that might be something, if they don't get a little bit more dynamic in with what they're doing, it might not be one to hold for the next 10 years. So for me, I'm actually going to go not hot on City Lodge.
Paul?
Now, I'm going to go hot on this one, just to confuse everybody. And the reason is that I think, notwithstanding all of that, the occupancy rates will probably creep up. So I know it's a close call, but I'm going to go with hot on this one.